live on a couple of platforms simultaneously. Okay, so welcome everyone. I know it's a Friday afternoon, evening from wherever you're joining. We're near the end of the working or study week. So thank you for joining in. We have a very interesting, sort of chat today. We have with us Dr. Johnny O'Dwyer, who is program coordinator of the MSc in Artificial Intelligence in Business at TUS or TUS. I think it's called TUS now, isn't it, Johnny?
I think so. Either will do. Either is fine.
Either will do. Okay, okay. So thank you so much for being here, and we're quite interested. I think AI and business are both of a lot of interest to students in the South Asia region, and you've sort of brought both of these together. So maybe if you could just start by telling us a little bit about this new program and when it's being launched.
Sure. So, really, the program aim, Anam, and to everyone is to develop graduates with AI skills with a business focus of this technology. Of course, many colleges will have masters in AI. They'll have a master's in AI with maybe software design, software engineering focus. But we felt here in TUS that it was important to have a little bit more well-rounded individual with regard to business skills as well. So the technical area of the course has business application focus, such as sentiment analysis, forecasting, things like this. But there's also the legal, ethical, and social, and indeed industrial aspect as well. So there's some kind of interesting modules in that regard, and students will additionally get to learn about research as well, and conducting ethical research in AI. So it can be a little bit, I guess, more broad education around AI. We are looking for technical individuals or people with coding experience to come onto the course, but let's say we'll be focusing on, of course, the business applications as opposed to maybe some other considerations like the software engineering considerations around AI or things like that. That would be more of the engineering department here.
Right. Okay. Great. Great. So we've sort of understood what the program is about exactly. So, can you tell us why you went ahead and developed such something like this, and how will it benefit, in the whole sort of overall picture for Ireland?
Yeah, sure. I mean, one thing certainly that worries me personally, right, is about unethical use of AI, right? And maybe we've seen in the past, maybe a little bit early release of some models that really disrupted many industries, right, and gave rise to the capability to kind of, I guess, fake competence, right? Maybe if especially if we were interacting online by text and things like that, right? So certainly this worries me, and also it's not instated in Ireland just yet, the AI Act, but it has been deployed in Europe and agreed at European level. It's due to be instated, I think, with a deadline of February 2025 here for member states to have it enacted. So there's also this governance aspect that's kind of very interesting, very tricky, and there's going to be a shortage of individuals who have this training consideration around that. One thing as well is I kind of actually came from an engineering background, and it's very easy to have applications that are more, I want to say, engineering focused, right? And just focused on a product, right? Whether it be some computer vision product that's being developed, or some machine learning for IoT or sensor networks and things like this, right? But sometimes the business application focus of that is missing a little bit, right? And I'm very interested in things like propensity modeling, pricing, sales forecasting, product recommendations, customer analysis, things like this. So we saw this need here in the market, especially in Ireland, because there's only one other university, with due respect, not as reputable as TUS, that's National College of Ireland, and their focus was really very much more business oriented, and they didn't give the research angle as well. So this, I guess, is kind of the part of the motivation, part of the unique selling point, and it's actually this is a bit of a relic, but I'll mention it anyway, right? Um, the actual kind of inception of this whole project was kind of from agreement with a partner across the way in Europe, in Finland. So unfortunately, the exact structure didn't go through the way we'd like it to, and we've kind of parted ways in the development of this. But it's not just that it's important for Ireland; it's that it's important for Europe, really, the whole continent as well, because we've been working with partners on this to develop it.
Great, great. Thank you, Johnny. I think it's so important to sort of share that also, that, whatever you're going to be studying will be so relevant for the future and whatever work that you end up doing. So it has purpose. So I know you've sort of touched upon, who should sort of be applying for this particular MSc. Could you tell us a little bit about the background that you expect? I know you've said tech, you've said they should be proficient in coding. Anything else that you sort of expect from those who should apply to this program?
That's a really good question, and I will expand upon that. And I may not even give all the answers, because I do believe Ishita may give more answers, especially to some questions that may come in. But from my perspective, we'll be looking for a 2-2 degree, right? So in our country here, that would be a level 8 on the national framework of qualifications, and 2-2 would equate to a GPA of 50% or greater, okay? And it's to be in a numerate discipline, okay? So to give some examples of a numerate discipline, you could have computer engineering, electronic engineering, statistics, physics, you could be from the sciences, or even accounting, something like this. Now, with those last two examples, unfortunately, with the sciences and accounting, while they are numerate, you would have had to go and get some exposure to computer programming by yourself, okay? Whereas it's obvious with computer engineering, even statistics, physics, software engineering, etc., they definitely would have had computer programming exposure as part of the degree. But that's not to say that we won't accept individuals, let's say, from a kind of a numerate business background like accounting, or maybe accounting and analytics. We would, but you may just have to evidence, maybe with a Coursera course, Udemy, something like this, some exposure to computer programming, whether it's Python or Java, even or JavaScript.
Right, right. Which is,
There's
sorry. Please finish.
no, please, Anna, go ahead.
No, so I was saying that it's always interesting for me, because whenever I'm doing one of these, I find that professors and lecturers, they're always interested to get students who actually feel some passion for the subject. So even if certain criteria are not exactly met, they'll try to get them around it, and that's what I'm hearing as well. So just wanted to
Yes,
point.
absolutely. And in addition to that, and us considering um, these other courses, of course, there are English language requirements where English is not a first language. So the IELTS score has to be greater than or equal to 6.5, and someone's going to ask, is Duolingo okay? And I'm not so sure. I think it may be right, But I do know that there's another requirement I've noted down. So there's an alternative, which is the CEFR English. So a B2 or equivalent in that is acceptable as well to just
Okay.
evidence English language proficiency to take a course here that is obviously delivered in English and
So we will. So don't worry about getting into those details. I will ask Ishita. I know these. This is the sort of thing that the South Asia team primarily deals with. So let's go back to the program. So it's a 1 year MSc, and maybe you could tell us about how the semesters are divided. What are the sorts of modules that you'll be teaching through the year?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So it's over one calendar year. So you would start the course at the start of September and you would finish it at, the very end of August in the next calendar year. So one thing that you mentioned earlier, Nam, is, kicking this off, right? So individuals who are accepted onto this course, they would start the course in September 2025 and they would complete the course in at the end of August 2026. Okay, so one calendar year, and that's broken into trimesters. So the first trimester is going to be, and there's probably something similar in whether it's India or Malaysia, etc., China. That's broken into. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay.
I can. I can. Go ahead.
Oh, perfect, perfect. So the first trimester is September to December, and during this you'll have some, I guess, introductory modules, right? So mathematics for artificial intelligence will be covered there. There'll be the fundamentals of machine learning as well, and one that's maybe a little bit more advanced, but that I teach is data mining and business intelligence, right? Uh, then moving on to the second semester, so that will run from, roughly speaking, mid-January up until about late April. And here you'll have modules like data engineering, legal, ethical, and social implications of AI, research methods that I teach as well. So introducing students to different research approaches, qualitative, quantitative, ethics around research, things like that. And then in the final trimester, um, that runs roughly from mid June, because there's obviously an examination session, so you might have exams during May, and roughly mid June up until the end of August, that final and summer trimester there, you'll be working on your applied research project that you propose. Now, we try to de-risk this for you in as far as so much as is possible. It's obviously your project, but during the research methods module, you'll work on a project proposal with me. So we'll go back and forth and you give a first draft proposal and you propose the data that you might use and the problem and things like that. And then a second draft proposal, maybe incorporating changes after maybe some consultation and agreement with myself. And then that will be, approved, hopefully. But anyway, you need to pass the research methods module in order to do the applied research project. But it's very possible, even though this module in particular is a pass-fail module, research methods, it's very quite unlikely to fail, and there is a lot of back and forth with us to ensure that we get you through that, because we ultimately have a job, and that's to get you through it. It's the job is not to fail anyone, by any means, and we do that quite successfully. And just if we break down to a little bit more of a granular level, then we kind of give a bird's eye view, I guess, of the semester. And on a week-to-week basis, generally classes are scheduled for Monday to Wednesday or Monday to Thursday, right? So that will hopefully give ample time for other activities, to experience the place, to experience Athlone. We can talk a little bit about that as well, or maybe just to do some work experience, things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I do have a couple of leading questions, but we are also getting questions from the audience. So maybe I'll just try to sort of balance the two. There was a question on what are the main things I learned during this course. So you've, I think, answered that by talking us through, what can be expected during the semesters. Anything that you want to add to that, Johnny? I mean,
Yes, sure. So I guess some things that will be added on depending on your computer programming exposure is usually students that come from stats will probably have worked with R, but computer programming students may not have worked with the R programming language. So that's a tool that's used in AI analytics, statistical modeling, and forecasting. So you get to learn R, in particular if you've not come from a statistics or analytics background.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Now, let's say if you have come from a statistics background, well, then you're going to be receiving more exposure to Python, okay, and data engineering techniques using Python and things like that. So, a couple of the modules use Python. For data mining and business intelligence, I use both R and Python. For data engineering and deep learning, I know that they're going to use Python, and indeed for the fundamentals of machine learning, where you're going over the classical machine learning algorithms, things like that, you use R for that. Okay, so that's kind of in terms of programming languages. You'll also be learning about. I think you can kind of maybe a little bit unpack the techniques from the others. Deep learning will be more along the lines of, let's say, your traditional kind of feed forward neural network. You'll go on to bidirectional on short-term memory recurrent neural network, convolutional neural network, and leading into large language models. Uh, One thing that I think that's a little bit interesting is in my module, full disclosure, I'm a bias here, but the topics might seem a little bit disparate, right? But I'm hoping to make that a little bit easier for students by using large language models to coding, if and where we can. Okay, so engaging with the likes of uh, Copilot that uses large language models under the hood to try and work with generating code for us. So interacting with that large language model, and setting the context for the answers that we would want along those lines, and things like that as well. So that's kind of, I guess, a little bit of a taster. I think it was a little bit biased more so towards the technical aspect. So I'll just very quickly close with, you will be doing case studies as well for business applications of AI. You will, be studying about the law and things like that, and research methods. So asking good questions of data and things like that as well.
okay, okay.
So I hope that
Wonderful.
answers
Thank you,
their
Johnny.
question, and they can feel
I
free to
think
come
so.
back and ask further. Yeah.
Yes, yes, for sure. So, you've talked us through the skills that students will be developing. What can they go on to do after they graduate from doing this master's?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's I don't have a monopoly on truth here, right? The reason being is because the same role will have different names, as you well know, Anand, or
Yes.
even different roles you'll be doing the same thing. Because I know I've worked with companies where I've had a lead data analyst who, in another company, he is doing more work than a junior data scientist. But let's say if we take the names at least loosely, we could
Mm-hmm.
say data analyst, data scientist, data engineer as well, ML or AI product manager, and
Mm-hmm.
product owner, if you prefer,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or even working in data or AI sales as a technical kind of sales engineer. So you could be, more on the business side, and decide to go into kind of governance a little bit more, or you could stay a little bit more on the technical side. Now, the job roles will be uh, varied, so kind of just take that into account as well. For some examples where a very related but slightly less advanced course, the higher diploma in data analytics and masters, in data analytics students have often worked as maybe analytics and AI managers in companies such as maybe LinkedIn or HIQA, which is the Health
Mhm.
Information Quality Assurance here in Ireland. I'm trying to think of any other companies as well. I just won't get them off the top of my head. Ardonna, which is kind of around insurance and that here, it's a multinational as well.
Mhm.
We've had students work in banking and in good bodies, which is an investment broker, things like that. So this is just to give you an idea. I know this is a new course, so we can't say for sure where our graduates have went, but in a very related course, this is kind of, I guess, the industries and some of the companies that went into.
Wonderful. Thank you. Basically, there are opportunities out there and potential jobs that, students and graduate can be uh, look forward to, honestly. So now we have Ishita Singh joining us. She's the regional advisor for South Asia. Thanks for joining, Ishita.
Thanks for having us. Hi, Johnny. I hope you've had a productive session until now.
Hopefully.
I really enjoyed it. Anam has been great. The questions have been good as well from the students. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'm jumping right in, Ishita. I know you can, there are certain questions being asked about entry requirements. So one question has come in about, so Tanzil is saying that he has an accounting background of 4+ years experience and he's pursuing a 1 year minor program in AI from IIT Roper. Would he be able to apply for this program
I think he can since he has.
So what is the minor?
in AI?
Okay, he would. So sorry, and I didn't mean to speak across. So he would be.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
He would
And
be
then
eligible.
Ishita, maybe you can tell us then if there's anything else around entry requirements, any additional tests that students from India or South Asia have to do to apply to this program.
So this good and exciting programs for business students, I would say. There are a lot of students in India who have pursued BCom in past, even general BCom, but they have like 4 or 5+ years of experience in IT. So
Hmm.
this is ideally suitable for them, because they have work experience and they had a degree. Now we are going to give you a combination of that particular degree, which would again career. So such students probably who are at undergraduate level currently applying as freshers, so they would require a lot of stats, accounting, mathematics, computing sort of modules in their
Hmm.
undergrad if they have those. Which level, which qualifies as level 8, so they can apply for this program, and minimum requirement would be 60%, and we would need a person from the cognate background. If they, for example, they would need 5+ years of experience in the relative industry. uh, Back to the percentage, when we talk about South Asia or India market, it would be minimum of 60%.
Hmm.
And for backlogs is a big issue, so we usually don't accept. It could be one or two, but that
Right.
would be case on case basis. So students should make an application with us, and then our
Right.
admission process.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks, Ishita. There's another question, which is, I mean, I think you guys have sort of covered that as well. What are the qualifications needed for this course? And do I need to have a business background? I think that's quite important. Do you actually need to have a business background to be able to apply?
Yes, I is like a business for AI, AI for business. Sorry, so
Yeah.
you should background. So this is ideally designed for the business students, but with a technical, who have technical experience or who have technical modules already and who are ready to become data analysts, data scientists tomorrow.
Okay.
So them. So yes, ideally these are the students that should be applying in.
Okay, okay, wonderful.
No,
Now to something. Yes,
th-
Johnny. We can't hear you.
Johnny, you're breaking up a bit. We are not able to hear you.
We can see your video.
okay, for sure.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Now
you
try.
can't hear me now? Oh, now,
Yes,
okay. So,
can.
um, just to add to what Ishita was saying, a business
Yeah.
degree wouldn't be a requirement, but it's okay. It's okay to have a business degree,
Okay.
but you would need to evidence the computer programming exposure. So, it's definitely open for business or technical people. It's
Mhm.
quite a technical course. So if you came from a business degree, but you have a numerate background, you would need to evidence some prior exposure to computer programming.
Okay, okay, wonderful. I think that answers it perfectly. Thanks, Johnny. So coming down to, finances, Ishita, can you tell us what is the tuition fee for this particular program and if you have any scholarships on offer?
Yeah, sure. So the scholars, so basically the overall 1 year fees for this course is 17,500 euros, and we offer scholarship between 1,000 to 4,000. It is completely based, and we do have a scholarship section on our website, so students can website and they also go to the section and look for the more details.
Your voice is cutting, Ishita.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes. Sorry, if you could just repeat that last line.
Yes, so students can go to our scholarship section on our
Yeah,
website to
yeah.
look detailed, like how we have, provided detailed explanation of the scholarships with what we offer, and but this is again academic focused, and also they can go to our courses section, look for this course for more details. Like there's more information provided over there, and
Right.
they do get to back, and the overall living cost would be 10,000 euros.
Okay, wonderful. And maybe, Johnny, so the cost of living is sometimes, something a student has to prepare for in advance. And when we talk about studying in Ireland, we say, it could be anything from 10,000 to 16,000 euros, and 16,000 being for, certain cities. And TUS is in certain cities, and this particular program is going to be taught at Athlone. So, could you tell us a little bit about Athlone and the campus, and what would be maybe the student experience over there?
Yeah, sure, sure. So Athlone is nicely centrally located in Ireland. So it's roughly equally distant from Galway and Dublin. So you can, traveling to Dublin is quite easy by train, and traveling to Galway is quite easy and again accessible by train. Um, it's cheaper in terms of the cost of living in the Midlands, okay, in particular
Mm-hmm.
for rents, if we compare it with the likes of Dublin. And Athlone itself as a town has, good facilities for, sport, gyms, nightlife, entertainment, things like that. And it's not too big of a town. So depending on where you came from, it might be quite small. I think the population is something about maybe 20,000 um, people. But even, I guess it's one of the bigger towns in the Midlands, and you can get around Athlone by bus as well for a couple of euro to get around different areas of Athlone. So I myself live about 20 minutes from Athlone in a very small town that doesn't really have much in it. So if I'm going to go shopping to buy something for my wife, I have to come to Athlone. So it's good for shopping, quite good for entertainment, reasonable in terms of cost, and yeah. So other cities as well for to try and see sites in Galway, or if you want to go to what should you see in Ireland? Cliffs of Moher, different mountains, things like that. You can access them. Everything is reasonably accessible, I guess, from Athlone because it's right in the centre of Ireland. Just in terms of campus life as well, there are lots of societies. I know I was speaking with Anam before. There, like, and you may or may not like this, right? You might really want to come and embrace the Irish culture, and trust me, you can do that too. But especially if you're from India, China, actually, there's actually a society in the college for China society. There's different, sports societies, Islam society, things like that, and also many Indian occasions are celebrated here. So, like Diwali, where they're wearing some beautiful clothes and some nice dances, is happens in Athlone, and some celebration around that. And there are also celebrations around Chinese New Year here. I don't know too much further about that because I don't engage too much on that one. But just to let people know that you can kind of, if you want to feel home away from home, I'm sure you'll find fellow students from your country, and maybe even your area within India, right, or China, or Malaysia, wherever the case may be. So, does that cover that, or are there any follow-up questions on that? Say about Athlone.
Covered. Anybody from global office would say the same thing, Johnny.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
That was perfect. Thank you, Johnny. And that's a great thing. I mean, you put it out because Ishita, this is a conversation we had, and I said, well, when I came to study in Ireland, I didn't want to see any Indian students. I wanted a, sort of international experience. But we have a lot of students who actually want to see, they feel a bit homesick. They want to hang out with their own countrymen for a bit at least, or for a while. But you can get both in Ireland, and especially in Athlone, and that's amazing. So, uh, I think we could continue this, but we've already run out of time. Thank you so much, Johnny. Thank you so much, Ishita. It's been super informative and fun, and
Oh,
I'm
what
really
can we say
hoping.
one more thing, Ishita, before
Yes,
we
of
go?
course. Please,
Or
final
sorry,
words.
Anam, I
Final
beg your
words.
pardon.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
applications are now open. Applications are now open. So
Yeah.
if you do Google search for MSc in artificial intelligence for business Athlone, it'll probably be the second link, and it will show the EU fees there. That's the page, because there's two pages active for this, but one in particular is not the online one. That's the one you guys want. So sorry, Anam.
Yeah. No, no, I think that is a good note to end on. We will include the link when we post this video across the platforms so that everyone can access it. And please do apply. TUS is a wonderful place to study in. And you'll have, great people like Johnny who feel so much for their subject, who will be teaching you. And you'll get a great skill set. That's what we've been hearing during this half an hour, which can be like get you ready to tackle challenges and sort of work towards business technology, a future in business technology. So thanks again, and hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and please do apply to study the AI in business at TUS. More information will be shared below. Thanks, guys. See you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.